there's no, it's not by chance these corporate logos all have meaning.
All seeing eyes, peacocks.
The pentagrams, the shell. 66 is a really good one and really is telling. If you understand Kabbalism,
it's a W.
Every letter has meaning and every letter has a number. And so V in Hebrew is 6. So 66 becomes W. And if you look at Hitler's Volkswagen, you'll see it's a VV interlaced.
Double power.
So you'll see it as
And they were all into
6,
runes.
6.
You know about the Nazis cutting SS officers' heads off and trying to portend instead of tea leaves or entrails? That's all admitted. These people are in the SS castle trying to conjuring spirits. They're nuts, man. These people are nuts.
And those very works, these very magical works, are housed right here at the Harry Ransom Center on UT campus. Aleister Crowley, the wickedest man in the world, known as the Beast, his eyes stare out of the Harry Ransom Center there on UT campus. His handwritten works, channeled through a sexual ritual, are in that building.
At the Great Pyramid. Is that
no, right here, across the street.
No, but I mean, he channeled some of those at the Great Pyramid.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Anyways, these people are nuts, is the point.
Yeah, they don't think like we do. They live in a different world.
And they believe there's power in killing.
Yes.
That's why Lenin was saying that they were kill people. Like, kill who? Kill what? Just kill more. Just kill more blood. Those are actual quotes. Give me more blood.
And that's exactly what Aleister Crowley's book says that is housed in the UT campus.
Just give me more death.
Just more death, more death. Yes.
They also believe they need to store up all this evil to do some greater good later.
Right.
It's like a good and an evil. It's like a yin-yang. But man, all they do is evil. It's delusional.
And W is the letter and the number 66, like Philip 66, is the number of the fallen angels in their ritual magic, Kabbalism, which is an ancient Hebrew mysticism.
But to explain, which they got out of Egypt, and the mystery schools, but to explain, most Masons are good. Most Masons are like FBI or anybody else. There's compartments in the pyramid, or rings, concentric rings, like the ninth circle of hell. As you go deeper, you learn more. And most Masons, the founders of Texas, founder of this country, they were not bad people. That's how they control people, is saying, oh, we're good works, we do good works. They ask them in paperwork, what would you do in this situation? And when you give a moral answer, oh, you're who we need for leadership, and they kind of stick you as a porch Mason. So when we say Masons, it's not even proper. It's groups above that. And people say, well, which group is it? Is the Order of this, or is it the Illuminati, or is it at the top? All these pyramids, like Russian dolls, fit inside each other. And at the tip, it's only a few hundred people, and they sit, each one of them, over hundreds of organizations, compartmentalized, giving all the orders.
Yes. And
that's how they run. It's run just like secret societies is just the ancient term for intelligence agencies.
Yes.
Okay, for commerce and information. So the same technologies of secret societies and how humans operate and how to manipulate populations and how to twist words. This is literally the secret knowledge, or the secret university of how to control people. But it goes back to all of this mysticism because it's so ancient, and so those trappings are all intertwined with it. Plus the elite likes to have satanic orgies. So it's extra fun on top of it. You see,
that's right.
But I mean, that's why it's all there. But it has real science as really the original sociologist and psychologist and military planners and architecture. You didn't just go teach that even at the mainline university, not even in Rome or in Greece or Babylon. There was the higher school, the mystery school, where you learn the mysteries. And you learn in the mystery schools at the temple, where the temple prostitutes are at.
What are some current corporate logos that have that kind of...
All of them.
Dutch roll, shell, Exxons, the double cross, or the double W. Explain what a double cross means.
The double cross was a Templar sign.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty self-explanatory, the double cross.
But in magic, intersecting lines have power, and multiple crosses has even more power.
Right.
So see, the Christian cross isn't even really, we call it Christian symbol. So, the last thing, like Bill Hicks used to say, Jesus wants to see is a cross. So Christian symbol is actually a sun god symbol, or a swastika. You see, because all the old sun symbols are either a wheel or two lines. The original cross is a sun symbol.
And one of the classics, they worship a goddess. They worship the god and the goddess. And in America, she is known as Columbia. And if you go down to UT campus and you look at the statue of Columbia, who's being drawn forth by fish people, which is the mer folk, who are, in ancient Egypt, mer is the pyramid. So these are the pyramid folk that they're symbolizing. You'll look up next to Columbia, who is Venus, and you will see her symbol of a pentagram and her symbol of a shell, which is, of course, Texaco and shell. And these are both symbols of Venus. And so these are, if you look into ABC, CBS, NBC, ABC is the Trinity, CBS is the Eye, and NBC is the Phoenix, or the Peacock, which is Juno, the Roman goddess.
And then if you expand on that, there's all these other lesser gods and symbols. But when you go to Europe, but it's also in Washington, D.C., anywhere you see a goddess being drawn by chariots with different gods in front of her, maybe cherubs, maybe mermen, every time you see that, you will then, she will always be looking down on war memorials for hundreds of thousands of dead. That's a sacrifice.
Yes.
No matter where you are in Paris, no matter where you are in London, no matter on the side of the road, you can be driving and you'll see a goddess, being drawn on a chariot. She may have other goddess in front of her, and you see it, and then you can pull off the road and drive up, and there's going to be war memorials as sacrifices all in front of her.
Yeah.
And they have the same thing. They have the law enforcement memorial over at the Capitol, giant black pentagram. Now, see, most of the stuff has the white magic connotation, not behind the Capitol. That is a big black pentagram facing south, at the bottom, showing that it is facing downward. Plus, it has the two obelisks, the two towers. Explain that to them. That is hardcore, man. That is a super, and they believe it's like they believe architecture brings in the other dimension and like resonates power.
Yes.
That they get power by more of these. And they also believe there's power points on the earth, like London and Paris and Tokyo, places like that. Austin's one of those points, San Francisco, Northern California, Bohemian Grove.
Mm-hmm.
But tell them I'm sure you've seen the police memorial out there. It's a police memorial. It's a big black pentagram. Tell them about that.
I haven't.
Yeah, go look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's so many of these you can't even keep track of.
You can't keep up. If you go down to the courthouse right now and you look at the date that building was built, it was 4,589, I think, because their calendar is the Anno Lucius calendar.
Yeah, they're not even on our calendar.
Yeah.
And we just walk by and don't even see it.
Yeah. It's the year 6007 to your president. If you realize that these obelisks that you see, like Washington's monument, that's Osiris's phallus. That is a phallus
And then the
symbol.
domes are female breasts,
Yeah.
the goddess. And then he's always there implanting her. And then the White House is right there in her belly. And then the Oval Office is the fallopian, is the female regenerative organs.
Freeman, isn't it?
The
also,
ovaries, the Oval Office.
Isn't it also the District of Columbia? Which
The goddess
Of
Columbia.
course, yes, that's our goddess.
But I used to live in Washington, and all that you talked about the connections between the CIA and the British SIS, and it's called the District of Columbia. And isn't that the same goddess on top of the Texas state capitol, which
Yes.
is the largest state capital in the world?
And by the way, they had a
It's
display there.
Columbia.
Russian media was here and it hadn't been there the last time I was at the Capitol, like a few months before. I was going, this is the goddess up there that guards Texas. We walk in, they got a big display. They explained how it was the goddess. And there were state troopers explaining how this was their guardian goddess. The Russians were going, because
And
they
that's-
didn't believe me at first. They
Yeah.
walk in and they're state troopers.
And that's
And
Columbia.
the state troopers are always doing Masonic flashes at me.
And that's Columbia, and you
join the
think,
club.
our nation's capital is called Washington District of Columbia. Why Columbia? Well, that's why.
Yes, and if you look closely at her face, the goddess on our capital, it is Babylonian. It is. You can put a picture of Enlil, who is the ancient Babylonian god, next to Columbia, and you'll see that it is a Babylonian goddess that we have.
Yeah, if you look, it's an Asiatic, Central Asian face.
What does all that mean? I mean, bring it all together.
Which means they mean business and they're running things and they enjoy killing people and they like blood.
And they're ritual magicians. They're ritual.
Which is also the
What do you-
illusion. They believe they also get power, like the lesser magic, out of throwing it in your face, having it hidden in plain view. That's their whole language.
So it's every corporate logo. It's not just some. When you start to look into it,
Well, the
you'll
big ones,
find-
the Fortune 500.
The
yeah.
big ones, yes.
And then all a lot of the small ones try to imitate it because they just know that's the power does that. The power shows a pyramid.
Well, Alex, you mentioned the Luciferians and then the Satanists. The Satanists have been doing blood sacrifice for as as long as they've been in business. And
But the Luciferians really believe in it and aren't doing it for themselves. They believe, this is the great work. They're at the top, walking around in white robes going, they must kill billions. But then the Satanists are their minions and servants, kind of like the orgs, or the orcs, and they just enjoy it, and they're just out partying and enjoying themselves as enforcers. Go, my children, have fun. It's kind of like, there's the big hordes being released.
But in the
Does that
slaughter,
make sense? Is that basically?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
isn't the slaughter still a sacrifice? I mean, a ritual sacrifice, whether it's a war or whatever. You
War
talked
is
about
ritual sacrifice.
And Bush keeps saying the war is a great sacrifice.
Yeah.
These sacrifice, this sacrifice.
Exactly.
Ritual
So,
sacrifice.
they are not thinking like we are thinking. They have this ulterior motive, and they live in a world that we don't even believe exists. But yet, their magical works are stored at our college campuses. You know what I'm saying?
The mystery schools.
Scary.
Yeah. And so it's time to wake up.
And then also another thing is they're the ones that ran the witch hunts and things
That's right.
to cover their sacrifices. They'll go after other religious groups and other people claiming it's Christian, and then that's their whole cover. Everybody knows this. It's kind of like the analogy in mainstream media or popular culture is Dragnet with Tom Hanks. And, when it's really the preacher's the head of the Druids, and then he's going after the Playboy guy. I mean that's really what it comes down to. And believe me, I grew up in Dallas around these preachers. I mean, these were the big televangelist preachers, and their kids were all in rock and roll bands. And hey, don't you love Satan? And I grew up around Dallas. I was like middle class. I knew a lot of rich people, and I mean, it was just rampant. I was dating a girl who was, whose parents were like billionaires, and they were just flat out Satanist. I mean, let me tell you, man, it's big time. Anyways, so I didn't ever believe in that stuff.
No. But there's just overwhelming evidence. And that's what you're left with, is overwhelming evidence.
But again, their outer rooms don't know all that.
No, not at all.
I mean, at the highest level of Masons, they worship a black dragon climbing out of a pit.
Right.
So, I mean, it's pretty serious.
My father was a worshipful master in the Freemasons, in the German Freemasons. He chased flying saucers in Project Blue Book, built nuclear missiles, and was on a submarine with Jimmy Carter, Killer One. And he was the man who stood in the top hat with his white gloves and his apron and ran the rituals. And when I asked him about it, he said, oh, it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. Okay, so here's a man running the rituals that has no idea that he's practicing ritual Kabbalism. Not a clue.
They're just told, this is our old stuff, it's our club, we're going to teach you how Solomon built the temple.
Yes.
Say Texas is the Lone Star State. Tell them what that means.
The pentagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's 4 definitions to the pentagram.
Yeah.
Right.
Most classic is just a human body.
Sirius is the Freemasons' pentagram, is the star Sirius. And that gets a little curious when you start to look that direction. Venus is another, because Venus makes a 5-pointed star every 8 years. And then there's the human body.
Baphomet.
And Baphomet, their god Baphomet, the goat-headed one.
Friendly fellow.
Which is in the Aflac commercial right now, and he was also on David Letterman last week. And David Letterman, they let the goat go down 53rd Street, and David Letterman was saying, "Come back, Doogie, come back and do Daddy." I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's all over the place. There's no doubt about that.
They want your agreement and everything.
The inverted pentagram is the satanic symbol, correct? The Mendes goat, like the horns and the ears, and then the...
That just symbolizes negative destructive power, which then they put the false connotation on the male side of the deity. And then usually downward means destructive, and then upwards like the goddess. 'Cause everything also has like triple meanings.
You said the one at the Capitol has a south-pointing star, which would be the inverted, the destructive, I guess, or the satanic.
Yeah, and it's for thousands of dead Texas cops going back to the founding of Texas. Carved in black marble.
Yeah.
With a Stonehenge around it with 2 obelisks in the middle. I mean, no one. I mean, like if you were hacking through the Mayan jungle and you came to that, you go, "This looks like this looks like some evil crap."
Yeah.
And that's, it's a memorial. No big deal.
Yeah, y'all be sure to check it out before you leave town.
Yeah, I can actually find you the pages in here. I think. Let's see. We videotaped so I can find the pages. I got to look back here. But you look at Bilderberg. Let's look at Bohemian Grove first.